And I want to talk about our responsibility in leadership and both living our life, dealing with people, communicating in business and relationships, and what our role is in that, in leading, in taking ownership. You see, it's not our job to convince or make sure that other people perform or do things in the way that they need to. Our job is to be solid and secure in ourselves, to walk in power and love and authority in ourselves, in our own personal lives. And in that, we show others how to act. And if it's up to them to choose whether they're going to do so or not. We can influence other people, but when we start to make it our mission to make sure that other people act in a way that we think that they need to, that goes into control, that goes into manipulation. And when we continue pushing the envelope and trying to force our opinion and viewpoints on other people, that becomes abusive and hurtful and harmful, and something that needs not happen. And yet oftentimes we feel like, man, if only these people performed and did the right thing, then they would have a good life. And we even justify it through a lens of love. Well, I love them so much, so I want to make sure that they do what's right for them. But our position comes from still a self-serving place. And love is never self-serving. So we want to keep that in mind. We show an example. We shine as a light to influence other people, but it's not our job to make sure that anybody performs or does an action the way that they need to or must do. And if you're in leadership or you're leading a company, maybe you have a team under you, it's not your job to make sure that people perform. Your job is to communicate powerfully, to take ownership over your role, and the fact that if people are misunderstanding you, then you can explain yourself. But if they're choosing to not do what you want to do, that they have a choice whether they want to stay there or not. We want to respect people's boundaries. We need to learn to say yes when we mean yes and say no when we mean no. And we need to set up boundaries as well with other people. You see, oftentimes we see maybe a boundary, setting one with somebody, or them setting it with us as a form of punishment or a lack of love, and that love would never disconnect from that way, and it would make sure that other people do what's right, and it would be relentless in making sure that people fall in line and do the right thing. But that's not love. That's only self-seeking. That's only trying to get a gold star of approval to say, well, I did the right thing in my life today, and so I made sure that, they can't come to me and blame me for them not doing that. And I'm going to keep pressuring and pushing until people perform, because we believe that we're not going to be safe if they don't perform, or we believe that they're not going to feel loved if they don't perform, or we believe that we're responsible for the choices, the decisions, and even the negative actions that people make, and that we take on false guilt and false responsibility trying to get other people to perform in a way that we think is best for them. This is not love. This is not leadership. But yet this is ingrained in our culture as normal. This is what we're taught throughout our life, especially in many different avenues of business and religion and even family upbringings, is that, if you do the wrong thing, I'm going to make sure that you do the right thing. And we live our life from that we have to be the catalyst that causes people to do and make the right choice. No. We get to choose how we react to the situation. We become solid and confident in who we are, our choices. We choose to not let what's going on around us change who we are based on the situation that we're in. We allow other people to live their life the way that they choose to, because they have the autonomy to do so. You see, we're responsible for what we tolerate. We're responsible for what we allow. And we're not responsible to make another person do something else. See, a lot of people twist this in a way to where we're like, well, I'm not going to tolerate you acting that way, so you must act in the way that I need you to for me to then tolerate you. No, the fact is this is okay. I'm not going to tolerate that, so we're gonna part ways here. I'm going to let you do what you want to do. You've chosen that that's what you want to do. And if we want to bring some restoration, then we can do that. A boundary is not a lack of love. It's not punishment. It's actually setting a ground rule for how love and connection can occur. There's a great book about this that I've been reading. There's actually 2 books that I've been reading. One of them is called Unpunishable by Danny Silk. And another one is called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. And it talks about how in situations, oftentimes when we have a lack of boundary, we also disrespect other people's boundaries. When we don't say no to other people, we also don't respect their no. And we feel like saying no will hurt somebody else. We feel like that it's our responsibility to make sure that somebody acts in a certain way because we allow other people to do the same thing in our life. And so I want to encourage you in this is whatever your goals are, whatever you're trying to go after, take ownership over your role, your choices, your decisions in your life. It's not your job to make sure that another person performs in a certain way. That's crossing over into disrespect. That's crossing over into dishonoring another person. You're disempowering somebody to make the right choice for themselves because you are saying they can't make it on their own. And if I don't do this, nobody else will. And so I have to make sure that they make the right choice for themselves. Otherwise, they won't feel loved. I won't be loving. I won't be doing what I need to do. I. And it's all self-serving, this whole perspective of this. We need to be able to release people, let them go. You know, sometimes there's relationships we need to cut off and end them because they're not healthy. They're not serving us or the other person. We're in a toxic communication between 2 people. And it's actually a loving thing to say, hey, listen, I love and I respect you. And I think that this is where we need to set a line and there's a boundary here. I'm not going to continue on this path with you because I don't need to control you. I don't need you to do anything for me to be okay. And I take ownership over my choices, what I'm going to tolerate in my life. And we don't have to make another person act another way for us to feel safe, for us to feel okay, for us to be confident. We stand confident and powerful as a powerful person that shows others how we expect to be treated by the respect that we show other people. And that comes from saying no when we mean no and saying yes when we mean yes, and not wavering from that based on others' opinions or fear or worry about how they might treat us or how they might act or the need to validate ourselves and validate that what we believe is true by getting another person to perform the way that we feel that they need to. We say, hey, listen, if you're going to do that, that's not something I'm going to tolerate around me. If you want to change, then we can have a conversation. And it's not requiring that. It's not about love or a lack of love or punishment. It's about saying, listen, I respect myself enough and you that this isn't working. Let's be real about this. Let's be powerful people, both of us, not codependent. Not requiring one person or another to act in a certain way for either of us to feel loved, safe, or accepted. It's not your job to make sure people perform in life or in business. It's not your job to make sure that people do what you need them to do. It's your job to be an example, be a light. It's your job to take ownership over your choices, your decisions, your emotions, your reactions, how you explain things. If you're being misunderstood, it's your responsibility to make sure that you are understood. And other people don't have to agree with you for you to be okay. And that's perfectly okay because you honor and respect other people's opinions at the same time. And when we do this, we can walk and live as powerful people and impact the world around us on a greater scale because we're not trying to control everything around us. We're letting people be autonomous and have agency in themselves and have the freedom to be powerful people. Grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk soon.